Hello, everybody. Welcome to Driftwood Conversations. I'm Hilary Sloane. Today, you'll meet Isha Marla, a 14-year-old student in Portland, Oregon, and a young person who already knows her own mind. I found Isha through her work as a finalist in the 3M Young Scientist Challenge, where she developed a biodegradable seaweed fabric designed as an alternative to fast fashion. She calls it Alginifab. This episode isn't framed as a novelty story about a gifted young woman. It's a conversation with someone who speaks clearly, thinks carefully, and follows an idea all the way through. Isha is a whole person. A dancer, a pianist, a walker, and a music lover. She has a current favorite musician she follows and a life that extends beyond achievement. Her family is supportive, and she's building her work in the community rather than in isolation. What I love about this conversation is how steady she is, how willing she is to meet the world head-on with intelligence, discipline, and hope. Hello, Isha. Welcome to Driftwood Conversations.
Hi.
I found a record of your award in Instagram or somewhere in social media, and I was really interested. So tell me a little bit about yourself, where you live and your age, what school you're going to right now.
Yeah, of course. So my name is Isha Marla. I am 14 years old, and I'm a freshman at Jesuit High School in Portland, Oregon. Some ways that I like spending my time are I like to do Indian classical dance, Western classical piano, and then just spending time with my family and friends. And of course, I love math, science, and STEM, and this challenge was just a really great way for me to be able to share my ideas like on a broader scale, so I'm just really grateful for that.
Were you deeply involved with science before this came up?
Yes. So how I got interested in science in the first place is actually from my primary and elementary school. Since I was at the age of 3, I went to a place called the Montessori School of Beaverton. And over there, with the Montessori ideals, it really allowed me to be curious and explore what I was interested in. So over time, as I was able to keep trying out new and different things, I found that my passion lied in science. Like when I was in second grade, I created a game to go through all the parts of the body and learn more fun facts about them. I learned the first 30 of the periodic table of elements when I was in 5th grade, and then leading into my middle school, I took all those curiosities and questions that I would just keep asking and decided to bring them to a new level, and that's where I found the challenge.
So the challenge was outside of your school.
Yes.
Tell me what that challenge is and how did they contact you? What did you do?
So the challenge that I entered into was called the 3M Young Scientist Challenge, and I found it in 8th grade. And how I figured out about it is actually in Portland, there have been some past finalists who have participated in the challenge, and I was super inspired. And actually through my school science fair, I had created these fabrics that would be able to be an environmentally friendly alternative to the fabrics that we wear every day. And I'd heard about these past winners of the challenge. So in order to enter, all I had to do was submit a quick 2-minute elevator pitch of what my project was going to look like. And it was a long shot. Coming top 10 in the nation was one of my biggest dreams at the time. And I just wanted to give it my all because I truly believed in my idea. I think that that's really what led me to be here.
Did you actually make fabric out of seaweed?
Yes. So I created these seaweed-based fabrics with a few other materials. And before I entered into the challenge, what I had done is created slabs of fabric that would be able to be sewed and ironed into each other. And then when I became a finalist in the challenge, I took that so much further with the help of my mentor. And over the summer, I was able to introduce different 3M products that help make my fabrics more ready to go into the field. And by the end of the summer, at my final presentation, when I was in Minnesota for the challenge. I actually had like a 3 foot tall mannequin that was fully dressed in all my clothes.
This award, this program, is being sponsored by 3M.
Yes, it's like a collaboration between 3M and Discovery Education. They work together, and then every year they choose 10 finalists from across the US to compete to be like America's top young scientist. And as one of the finalists, we had a summer mentorship. So throughout the summer, all of us would be paired with like a 3M expert in the field that our projects were working in. And then at the end of the summer, in October, we all went to Minnesota and we had all kinds of cool challenges and we got to meet each other and just really celebrate how far we all had come.
What products are you using for your fabrics?
So the fabric that I've created is called Alginifab. And in order to make it up, what I've used is water as my solvent, sodium alginate, which is the part that comes from seaweed. So like when we harvest seaweed, that like outside material on the outside of the seaweed that makes it like almost feel like gel, that's what gets extracted and that's what I'm using in my fabric. And when I combine that with sodium alginate, calcium chloride, as well as glycerin, just to really tie it all together, that's where I get my fabric. And that was what I entered into the challenge with. Then over the summer, as I collaborated with my mentor, what I was really able to do is take like the products that we see all around our houses that 3M makes, and I got to incorporate those into my project as well. Like 3M makes films, and they're actually the films that like cover our cars. So I used some of those films to really add to the aesthetic purposes that my fabric could serve. Because like not all fabrics are the same shape, color, size. So I tested for all of that and used these 3M films to add to the complexity of my fabric. And I also used 3M adhesives, which was what my mentor actually specialized in. And I was able to use those to come up with a different alternative to sewing the fabrics together.
Some of this clothing is actually glued together.
That was one of the coolest parts, actually. So I originally tried, when I made my first fabrics, I tried sewing them together because that felt like the natural thing to do. If they're going to be used, we have to be able to sew them. But then as I met with my mentor, I was like, what are some different ways we could try to bond these together? As I looked into that, I came up with using 3M sprays as well as 3M hot melts and like glues. They almost like work like a hot glue gun. And I tried using those in my fabrics and that worked as well. And what that really allowed me to do was just speed up the process of making more clothes, which can only help if they're going to be applied commercially.
What kind of clothing did you make out of it?
So in the end, for my prototype in my final presentation, I made a mannequin. I actually named it Gina, as it came from like Alginifab. I took the Gina part out of it and made that my mannequin. And on it, I had like a skirt, a shirt, a headband, a bracelet, a necklace, all of it. The idea for that was to be able to showcase all the different ways that my fabric could be used. So some of them were sewed together. Some of them I used the glues or the sprays. Some of them had those films I was talking about. And some of them, this is a new thing that I tried. I took my fabric and I cut it into yarn-like strips, and then I was able to use that for like the necklace that I was creating. And overall, the idea of that mannequin was to just like showcase all the different purposes that my fabric could serve.
Does it have color? Is it decorative?
Yeah. So the way that I was originally coloring my fabric was actually by using food coloring. So in my original tests, I have fabrics that are colors like red, yellow, green, and blue. And then over time, by using these 3M films that would be able to fully cover and wrap the fabric, I was able to choose whatever colors I wanted to make my fabrics look like that, which was why the films really helped, because the fabrics that we wear today, obviously they come in a variety of colors. So by using those films as well as the food colorings, I was able to naturally color my fabrics in an environmentally friendly way.
How durable are these fabrics?
When I originally was making my fabrics, some ways that I wanted to compare them to the fabrics that we wear every day is that if they're going to be a suitable alternative, then they have to be able to mimic how durable they are and how how much strength that you need to break the fabrics, as well as like what happens when you twist fabrics or you fold the fabrics. It all has to pretty much mimic the fabrics that we wear in order to be like a real alternative. So last year, as I was like developing the product, I did many like tensile testing tests on it and to make sure that it was as durable as the fabric that we make every day. And I realized that as I tweak the amount of the different like all the different products and the materials that go into my fabric, if I tweak the amount of those, then it changes how durable the fabric is. So I tested many like combinations and recipes for my fabrics and did tensile tests on them to see how much force you really need to break the fabric apart. And I tweaked it until it matched how much it takes to break the fabrics that we wear apart. And that's how I came to my final product.
Interesting. I'd love to see pictures. I can't even imagine what you created. But what comes to mind is something like a wetsuit. Could it be used to create, you know what I mean by a wetsuit?
Yeah.
Could it be used to create something like that?
I believe it could because the thing about my fabric is that it doesn't absorb water. It stays in its original state for like extended periods of time. And I do believe that like with the right combination of materials, I'd be able to make most of these fabric applications work with my fabrics. And that was really something that I looked into towards the end of my project. It was that I originally created these fabrics to be a replacement to fast fashion because the fashion industry is a very damaging sector towards like environmental causes. Like it can be really damaging, even if it's whether it's cotton or polyester. Both use up a lot of resources that can damage our environment. So as I went into it, the most damaging part of that whole sector is fast fashion. So I originally started with Alginifab being an alternative to just fast fashion. But then after I was able to find my optimal recipe for my fabric, I thought I would try to take it another step further and apply Alginifab beyond fast fashion to different fabrics, just like the blankets, carpet, bedding, wetsuits, and etc. So how I did that is I created a model in Python that would allow me to put in the ideal durability and flexibility and put in those numbers that I want my fabric to be like. And I made this machine learning model that would be able to spit out the recipe of materials that I need to make fabric for a certain purpose. So for example, if I give the machine that if I want a carpet fabric, then it'll spit out the recipe that I need to be able to make that fabric. So if, applying that to the wetsuit, if I were to put in the properties of a wetsuit fabric, then I would be able to get the recipe and create an Alginifab customized for that purpose.
How interesting, because I could see it. I mean, I can imagine it working great for that, for spacesuits. Or did you test it against fire? And
that would definitely be an interesting next step. One of the main tests that I did in my fabrics was just trying to mimic what it looks like when we test our own fabrics. And over time, I definitely want to grow my data set of different properties that I test to make sure it accurately copies what we want our fabrics to look like.
That's interesting because I can see a lot of specialty uses.
Mm-hmm.
Especially depending on how it reacts to flame, to heat. How would you clean this fabric?
So one of my favorite parts of my testing process was my clothing conditions test. So in that, I ironed my fabrics, I washed them and sewed them, and did a lot of things and I exposed them to the sun. A lot of things that we'd have to do to our fabrics on a daily basis. And what I found is while it will be hand washed for now, if we just wash it with some water and soap, then it stays clean for an extended period of time. Putting it in the laundry machine would definitely be an interesting next step, but for now it's hand wash.
What about, does it hold on to smells, like body odors, or is there a way of cleaning that out of it? Because if it doesn't take in water,
yeah.
I mean, you're washing it, but how does that work?
Yeah, it doesn't absorb the water, but if we wash it from the outside with water and soap, then we're able to get it fully clean. Another thing that I was like planning on trying as an interesting next step would be adding perfumes into the fabric recipe to try to see if we could make like a scented fabric to begin with to like fight off body odor.
So it sounds like you're interested in environmental issues.
Yes.
Was that introduced to you by your family?
The way that I really got this project started was when I came across an article that said that 92 million tons of fast fashion textile waste just head to landfills every year, and only 1% of that is actually recycled into new clothing that we can keep wearing. So that really led me to think about the fact that these days, if we just open up our computers with the click of a button, there we are at a new fast fashion website. And these fast fashion websites allow clothes to just be delivered right to our house. And we're like stuck in this cycle of the fact that it's so easy to get new clothes, which means that we don't have to treat the ones that we have with care and use them for the longest period of time possible. So that's really what drew me to the idea of biofabrics and creating my own fabrics. But in general, I'm really interested in the environment, and I actually have I'm working with a few friends on an environmental nonprofit at the time as well. And how that really got introduced to me was through my Montessori school and also through my family just being really supportive of what I was trying to do and understanding the causes behind it. Like, after I started working on this project, our family completely cut off like fast fashion websites as a whole.
Now describe what you're calling fast fashion.
So I was calling fast fashion like inexpensive and stylish clothing that oftenly is used and head to landfills, and not oftenly recycled. And that can be split into like the fast fashion that's made with like cotton and wool and these natural fibers, as well as like spandex and polyester and synthetic fibers. And a common misconception is that like fabrics like textures like cotton and wool would be better for the environment. But while they don't exert like natural gases like synthetic fibers do, it takes like 20 liters of water to make 1 kilogram of cotton. And it's just using up our natural resources by making those natural fibers too. So if we combine all these fibers into a category called fast fashion, then what my project does is like battle against it and create an alternative that will be good for the environment since it's also biodegradable.
What is the nonprofit you're creating? Can you talk about it?
Yeah. So a few friends and I are working on a nonprofit called Next Gen Innovators. And what we do is we really just spread awareness in the community about like environmental awareness. Like we just went to a school a couple weeks ago and talked about like reuse, reduce, and recycling. And we're holding a summit next April or May at the Wildlife Refuge, where we're going to be talking about how mental health ties into environmental awareness.
Mental health. How does that work?
Yeah, of course. So we were just really going to share about how like environmental awareness, like going on nature walks and doing things for the environment, environmental art can help our mental health and how they really go hand in hand together.
What is your exposure to mental health? Do you know people that have difficulties?
Well, actually, what we're really trying to do here is what we're doing through the summit is we're bringing in mental health experts to come like talk about their like connection to the environment and how they think that the environment and being aware can assist us in mental health issues.
You must have teachers at your school that are helping you with this also.
Yeah. Some of my teachers from my old school, actually, like my 8th grade science teacher, he helped me a lot in my project because like at the very beginning, my project actually started out as a science fair project in the chemistry category. And at my like school and state science fair, he was the one who was really helping me out with all that. Since he like got my project approved and I was able to keep moving along in the science fair process, that's what really allowed me to be able to expand my project to where it is now and what inspired me to enter into the challenge.
Now, I read somewhere that you also got a monetary award.
Yes.
Do you have plans for that? Is that going to go into your nonprofit or into your schooling?
So the idea for my, all of us receive like a monetary prize for being chosen as one of the top 10 finalists. And what I wanted to use that for was just to invest it into my project and to keep working on that to expand my project beyond what it is now and try to see if it can be applied like in the field commercially.
That sounds amazing and wonderful. And wow, especially at your age. Do you know who Max Alexander is?
I don't.
You might look him up. I think he might be 11 now.
All right.
But he started at 4 years old and has a fashion line. He's been creating it with his brothers and sisters, who I think are even younger. Not in the same way you are, but he seems to be aware of fabrics. There might be something that you could team up with. It would be very interesting.
Yeah, of course. That's really awesome and super cool. I'll definitely keep that name in mind.
Especially he's so young, and what he's doing is pretty exciting. Where are you going to take this? Do you have ideas of where you want to go to school when you graduate and where you want to go with your career?
I have some dream schools. My dream school is just really whatever's the best place for me. And I still have a few years to think through that. My interests are really all across the board. I definitely know that I want to go into a career with STEM. I'm really interested in like math and science. But as of now, the main like career path that I was thinking was that I want to be like a cardiovascular surgeon because I've been really interested in the human body like since I was in like grade school. Like I remember I was like talking about before how I created my parts of the body game, and as you go through each different system there's different facts that you learn about it, and I just find the heart really fascinating, and it's obviously really important for us. So I was really thinking of going into the medical field into like cardiovascular surgery.
You are incredible. It's just a joy to listen to you. Tell me about the rest of your life. Do you have friends?
Yes. So outside from like math and science and all that, I do Indian classical dance and Western classical piano, and I've been doing both of those for over 10 years. I do competition math and science fair, of course, and all of that stuff just makes me really happy. And I also do speech and debate. And I love doing that like every weekend. I'm at a new speech and debate tournament with all my friends. But outside from everything academic and all these activities, I love listening to music, hanging out with my friends, like watching horror movies and drinking coffee.
Well, coffee, yeah, I like that one too. Now tell me, what's your favorite horror movie?
Well, I just watched Saw a few days ago with my friends, and that was a scary one, definitely. Yeah, I had a good time for sure.
Do you ever watch the really old ones that were made in the 40s, 50s?
Not yet, but definitely something to look into.
So there is a very famous actor called Vincent Price.
hmm
Have you heard of him?
I've not.
Oh, he did the best scary people. And House of Usher and several others. And I used to work with him.
Oh, cool.
I did wardrobe and makeup for the film industry, and I got a chance to, over a number of years, work with him on non-union projects.
Wow, that's so interesting. I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, he's passed now, but he was an extraordinary man and very open and humble. Now, what else? What's your favorite music?
Well, I really like R&B and rap, and that's something I've gotten into over the last couple months. And that's definitely because of my friends. It kind of became like an obsession between me and my really close friends over the last few months. So that's what I've been really into lately. And I love like listening to music as I'm like doing my schoolwork, or like as I was working on this project, I was listening to a lot of music throughout it. Through all this work, like I had a really great time doing it. And like the people who were like I was surrounded with at the time of doing all this really made it like a really special experience. Like even in the challenge, like all the like smart and driven and wonderful people that I met through the challenge and the other finalists as well. Like we clicked really fast because we had so many common interests and we all really believed in our ideas. And I think the people is what made the experience really special.
I bet, yes. So what's your favorite musician right now?
My favorite musician right now is Drake. I've been really into Drake lately since like January over the past year, and I think that's going to continue into the new year.
You said you dance, but are you musical? Can you play an instrument?
Yes, I think I like to say that my loves are like science and the STEM and all the maths as well as music. I've been playing Western classical piano for 10 years since I was 5, and I've been doing percussion as well, like drum set, mallets, all of it, for the last 3 years. I started in 6th grade, and I really love playing piano. Um, it's been I've switched through many piano teachers. It's been a really long time since I started, but it just brings me a lot of joy. And I feel like music and like science and math are just so connected because they're so broad and there's so many different questions to ask. And that's what really drew me to both of them.
So I'm not very science and math oriented. I'm much more art oriented, but there is a mathematical equation about music, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm. They're very much connected in many ways, actually. I feel like just like the whole fields, like the field of like science and math, as well as the field of like music and the arts, they're so like deeply intertwined. And like sound, like there's a lot of math in how sound comes out of all these instruments. And I think that's really fascinating and interesting and something that I've been like looking into and trying to get into lately.
Did you ever spend time in India or were you born here?
I was born here. I was born and raised in Portland. My parents were both born in India and then they moved here later. I have spent a lot of time in India over the years. Some like during the summer, sometimes we go on like pretty long trips. It has been a while since I last went, but we're planning to go next year, which is super exciting. A lot of my relatives live in India, so we usually go and stay with them every now and then.
I was wondering about their instruments because that's a whole different music.
Oh, yes, for sure. I play one like main Indian instrument. It's called Natuvangam, and it's like an Indian percussion instrument. You have like two cymbals and you put them on each of your hands, and then you put them together in really specific ways to make a lot of like beautiful sound. And it really goes hand in hand with the Bharatanatyam, which is the Indian classical dance that I do. And you play Natvangam, which is the percussion instrument, as people are dancing. And India has like all of its own instruments. Like you have the mridangam, the sitar, the veena. It all goes really beautifully with the dance that I do.
God, that sounds like fun. Have you performed your
Yes,
dance?
I've been dancing since I was 5 years old, and I've really performed like in a lot of places across Oregon, a few places in Washington as well. My favorite performances that we've done is last summer, the whole like dance troupe, we all went to Carnegie Hall. We were invited there to perform as a part of their like all India dance festival, and it was like 60 of us all heading over there, and we actually did it in collaboration with like the Portland Japanese taiko drumming group. So as they would play, we would dance. And that was months of work, but a really amazing experience.
What did you think of New York?
I love New York. I went to New York the first time when I was 5 years old, and then again last summer to go to Carnegie Hall. And I think it's just really a really great environment there. It like very into the arts as well there, of course. I had a really awesome time there both times.
Now, what do you do to disengage from everything, to find your mental health?
Well, recently, like I've really enjoyed going on walks because I live in a really awesome neighborhood. There's like a coffee shop nearby. My old elementary school is just like across the street from me, and there's a park there as well. So I like just like listening to music and going on walks like once a week maybe, just by myself. And it's really great to like de-stress and wind down sometimes. So.
Do you have a best friend in school?
I do. My best friend, we have been at the same school since we were 3 years old, and we've kind of been doing everything together. Like, we danced together, we used to sing together, and yeah, and our families are really close too. Like, our older sisters are friends as well. Yeah, we've pretty much been doing everything together for 12 years. I'm really grateful to have her.
That's wonderful. Now, is she into science and math?
She is also into science. Our school has our science fair that's coming up in like March or so, and she's also really into that as well. Although we'll be competing, obviously still throughout all of that, we stay really close friends. Like that was the really interesting thing about the challenge too. Like even though we were competing when we got to the actual competition, it felt less like a competition and more just like a celebration of what we all have done. And we clicked so fast too there. And I think it'll be the same way with my best friend.
Oh, that's great. Now, what would you tell other young people your age or within a range about going to school, about learning, and about science?
So, something I think that I really had to get into my head throughout this whole experience over the last few years was that, like, to take my own ideas seriously. And just because, like, I'm like 14 or whatever, not to discount the ideas and the thoughts that I have, as well as, like, the work that I've done. Even if, like, you're young, not to, like, discount and think less of your ideas just because of your age, to really believe in it and do whatever you can to share that with the people around you.
Is there a way that you don't take life too seriously? That
Mhm.
you can keep your humor and lightness?
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. Quite a bit. I try to balance my days like spending time with my friends and calling with my friends and just talking about fun stuff as well as like doing my work cuz it has to get done and I really do enjoy like science and math and school and all that. But I think one of the great things about like my school is that like we have like built-in breaks and times where you can just like de-stress and have fun with the people around you. And I think that like my school is also really like they really lean into like collaboration. So I think having that balance between like working as well as doing it with the people you care about has allowed me to really balance those different sides of my life.
Are you going to a public school or a private school?
I go to a private school now. For my elementary school, I went to a Montessori private school. Then for my middle school, I went to my public school, and then now I go to a private Jesuit high school.
So it's a little different than public school for
It
sure.
definitely is. It was definitely a transition at that time going from middle school to high school, especially as that was the same time that I was like gearing up for the challenge. But I think I really enjoyed both.
I know you're into environmental awareness, and that's very important. How do you see the world right now from your eyes, from your perspective?
Well, I think right now, like as a society, we are growing in a lot of ways, especially like with AI and all these new inventions in like the technology sector. We're definitely growing and learning new things, asking new questions, but also at the same time there are parts of our world that definitely need more attention, especially like our environment, like global warming, climate change. Some of these problems are things that we could be spending more time on, and I think what we need to do like as a society, what we need to try to do is balance like learning new things and asking new questions as well like with looking back and seeing what we could have done differently and taking action to fix some of the problems that already exist.
Do you have hope that the future is going to get better?
I do. I think that like there's a lot of curiosity that's like circulating right now when we're learning a lot of new things, and I think that's going to help us both learn more and advance the society as well as solve the problems that we've already created.
You mentioned AI. Tell me, what do you think of AI?
I think that AI is definitely scary to some extent, but I think it has a lot of capability to be used as a tool that helps us learn more. And if we use it in the right ways, it can be a tool that benefits us and helps us become a more efficient, productive, and curious society. But we just need to know how to use it and make sure that it's being used in the right hands.
Would you go into more detail with that? What does that mean?
I just think that if we use AI in the right ways, we use it to make us more efficient. Because there's a lot of things that humans do now that AI can also do. So if we make sure to use AI for the things that it's reliable for, it can like make our society more efficient with. Then we use AI for those purposes. But like for example in schools, like if you want to use AI to help you condense your notes, that may be a tool. But if you want to use AI to do like write an essay for you, then that's no longer helping us as a society. So if AI is used in the right hands and by the right people who know the right ways to use it, then it could definitely be a way that our society progresses.
Thank you, because I was thinking about ethics
Mm-hmm.
with the use of AI, and that's what you're describing.
Yes.
If it's used ethically, it could be a wonderful tool.
Yes, for
Help you
sure.
research, help you organize, give you new ideas, or promote your thinking toward new ideas.
Exactly. I think if we keep like the human touch is still extremely important. AI can't replace all of us because it can't replace the things that we do. So as long as we take advantage of AI's strengths and combine it with our own strengths as humans, then I think that could really help us continue to learn.
I mean, I know you're very young, so you haven't been out in the world a lot, but do you think your generation is bringing something new to the world?
I think that my generation has the capability of bringing new things to the world. Like, of course, the generation's bringing a lot to the internet, and like all kinds of like new words are being created throughout, like through Gen Z as a generation in general. But I think that, like, especially with AI, like, and with technology, my generation definitely has the capability to be curious and have these new ideas and combine that with like our literacy with technology and our interest in like AI and all these new tools. And if we combine our own ideas with all this new technology that's being created, then I think that we could also have something new to offer.
How do we anchor ethics in all this new technology?
I think that ethics is definitely the most important part of using all this technology, because if it's not used in the right ways, then it won't be helping us as a society. So, in order to make sure that I think that we stay ethical in the way that we're using it, it has to be used in the right hands and for the right reasons. So, we just need to really, I think, advocate for the fact that AI needs to be used for the right reasons, and technology has its strengths, but so do we, and we need to make sure that like human strengths are also highlighted in this day and age.
Do you have a spiritual practice within your family and for
Mhm.
you?
Well, I've grown up Hindu, and my whole family is Hindu, and I've grown up like that. Like in our house, we've hosted Hindu celebrations, and the dance form that I do, it's like heavily rooted in like Hinduism and the gods and like the stories and the myths that we learn as kids. And yeah, I truly believe in that faith, and it definitely helps me in my like practices every day.
That's wonderful. It was really a pleasure talking to you.
You too. Thank you so much.
Is there anything else you want to add before we close?
I just wanted to say thank you once again for this awesome opportunity, and I had a great time talking to you.
I had a great time talking to you. Thank you, Isha. Thank you for listening to Driftwood Conversations, and thank you, Isha. I'm so grateful for Isha showing up with such clarity and presence. She's disciplined, thoughtful, and completely her age. She loves music, spends time with friends, and is building a life that includes joy alongside career goals. As I listened back, I kept thinking about what young people like Isha need from older generations. It's not praise, not projection, not pressure, but respect, real curiosity, and a willingness to take them seriously. And from us, the desire to support their growth without trying to control the outcome. We are all being challenged to listen with an open heart and without an agenda. Once we do, we'll experience so much more. If this episode moves you, share it with someone who believes in young people or someone who needs a reason to believe. Ratings and reviews will help these conversations spread. Thank you. I'm Hilary Sloane. This is Driftwood Conversations, and looking forward to sharing the next episode.